Welcome, fans, to episode 111 of Rangers Ed, presented by Lucarelli Law. If you're in Florida and need a lawyer, call Lucarelli Law and tell them the boys at Rangers Ed sent you. This is your host, Cousin Ed. I'm here with my co-host, Little Ed. What's up, buddy?
How we doing, fellas?
Doing good. Coach Ed over there. I see the whiteboards ready to be written on. What's up, Coach?
What's up, boys?
And producer Mikey. I like the room. It's shaping up good.
It's getting there, little by little.
Little shout out. Stony Brook Seawolves D3 ranked 1 in the nation, baby.
Let's go.
Wow, look at that.
Two wins this weekend.
Kudos to the players. They've been working real hard after a big break. We got 2 big wins.
2 big wins. Columbia on Friday in OT, and yesterday away game at Sacred Heart 4-2. 2 very big wins.
Coach, you never know, man. John Cooper, he made a big jump to the NHL. You never know, man. You just keep riding it, just step by step,
Yeah, maybe in another 25 years I'll be like Lou Lamoriello.
No, but you could guide Little Ed there, I mean, he can.
I'll be an 85-year-old player assistant coach or something.
Yeah.
But
definitely big shout out to those boys. They've earned it. Come a long way, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, congrats to you guys. That's awesome. Congrats to the kids too. We got a lot going on here. As the Rangers are on a bye, but they just played some pretty bad hockey for a couple weeks, so we got a lot to talk about. But there's also a lot to look forward to. The Stadium Series is coming up. I'll be there. Looking forward to that. We got an open hockey game where we're setting up for that Saturday night, which is going to be a ton of fun. I'll finally get to play in one of these and wear the Rangers Ed jersey, hopefully. A little Ed was quiet
sure.
when he was there. And
we got plenty of those. But real quick, 9:00, February 17th, 9 p.m. Marjorie Post. If you want to get in on the list, shoot us an email or DM on Instagram or Twitter, and we'll definitely get you in there. It's going to be a good time. A little bit of a preview for the Stadium Series outdoor game, so we'll get the bones chilled up the night before. And Sean from Hockey Night in New York will be there as well, so we might have a little bit of a rivalry brewing and make this an annual thing. So if you guys want to come out and be part of it, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, we're going to do a cold plunge before. Then we're going to get dressed and get out there. So it's going to
that's not going to happen.
I did a cold plunge in Mexico. I did it for a minute. It was insane.
All right.
Insane.
It's tough.
How
I'm trying to
cold
do
is the
it
water
in the
in Mexico?
shower.
No, I went to the spa at the hotel, and they had a whole circuit. So there's all these different that dump a bucket on your head, aromatherapy. They had all these different stations, and then the last one was the cold plunge. So I did it. I went in for a minute up to my neck, and I came out, and I felt like I had 6 cups of coffee. And I was clear headed. I was smiling, and I got to get one of those. It was great. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to the Stadium Series too. We're going to tailgate. Sorry, it is what it is.
No, that was good. That was hilarious.
We're going to tailgate, which is going to be a lot of fun, like you said, with Hockey Night in New York. So if you're there, shoot us a DM or try and find us. I mean, do we have a spot where we're going to tailgate yet, or are you going to figure that out beforehand?
No, definitely going to figure that out beforehand. Going to try and link up with Das Beer Garden, the local restaurant / bar that we went to a lot of playoff games with. They're having a tailgate, so we got to figure out a spot with them. But I'm going to definitely be posting on social media, so keep an eye out for that. And I think we'll have another episode before then, so maybe by then we'll have a set spot for the tailgate. But even if you're just walking around, just shoot us a DM. I'm sure I'll be on my phone responding and stuff. So if it comes to the day of the game and you're looking for somewhere to hang out, just come find us.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So we'll keep you guys updated on that.
What's up, Mike?
Look for the flag.
Yeah, we'll have the flag flying high for sure. I have my flagpole.
That's right. So. There you go. You're bringing a flagpole?
Yeah, we do it on the beach all the time. It's good stuff.
I love it. That's hilarious. All right, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a long day and very cold, so we'll see how it goes.
But
I'm excited.
Not very cold.
I'm excited for this episode. We got a special guest, Nick Flaherty, who used to work with NHL Network in various capacities. He did some broadcasting also. and he currently is blogging with Broadway Breakdown. He's got a great blog. Let's just bring him on now and let him join us for the episode. Let's bring Nick on. What's up, Nick?
How we doing, guys? Thank you for the intro.
Yeah, of course.
No, yeah, man. I mean, we're just happy to have you on. We appreciate you taking the time and joining us and giving us a different perspective on the show. It's nice to have a guest on join us for all the segments. So we appreciate you coming on.
I'm excited to be here. I didn't even have to shamelessly self-promote with my own merch tonight for the site.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, nice.
Maybe one day we'll be able to have a store and sell them, but for now we're just I get told I'm the merch king and I collect too much crap. So it might as well have my own.
Look at behind us.
You have no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea. This is just what's behind us.
That flag is covering up about 80% of my stuff, which is up there. So,
in bins.
Some of it.
But maybe we'll do a joint Rangers Ed Broadway Breakdown merch store.
There we go.
We've been teetering on a merch store and for like a year, and we haven't pulled the trigger on.
Yep. So
yeah, but
so Nick, tell us more about your resume and how you got to where you are now.
So I went to college for broadcasting and communication, specifically in sports journalism. I went to Montclair State University. I live in northern New Jersey, so that was local and easy. And really, they had a great program for me to get into when I was there. They fully furnished brand new studios through Sony, and I always wanted to be on radio. My heroes in life, and this can be controversial around these parts, depending on who you listen to, but my heroes in life were Mike Francesa and Chris Russo. So they were guys that I always wanted to be like. They weren't hot take artists. They were just honest, and they were passionate about this area. And there is no better place to be a sports fan than here in New York. So I went to school for broadcasting communications and did some TV stuff in high school and in college, but really enjoyed radio, enjoyed podcasting. We had our own recording studios there on site. So that was really how I got my start. I wanted to be a play-by-play guy as well. Joe Buck was always somebody that I looked up to. Again, controversial if you're a Yankee fan like me. Sometimes he can get under your skin, right? But
Mets too.
Yeah, Mets too.
Or any New York team, I should say, I guess, that he's
Mr. St. Louis, right? He's Mr. Midwest.
You're 0 for 2 so far, Nick.
Since you like Joe Buck so much, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let you like him.
It's not the start I was looking for. It's not what you want, as Joe Girardi used to say. But I wanted to be on air. That was always my goal for a really long time. I got some really great opportunities through college, being recognized for our on-air work. My color analyst and I, my friend Sean, we were nominated for a national radio award our senior year for our on-air work in basketball, both men's and women's at Montclair State, we called. And we were really lucky that they were very, very good, and they were conference champions multiple times over. So it's always better to call a winning product sometimes, right? It certainly makes life easier. And then the first really big professional break I got was the 2018 NFL draft in Dallas. So if you're a big football fan out there, the draft can be, for some people, it's a bit of a bore. It's just reading names. And then for others, it's really exciting. I'm one of those guys that loves to watch tape and watch prospects. I've tried to add that to my repertoire with other sports, try to pick up more from hockey. But I got to go down to Dallas as credentialed media, press conferences, interviews, meeting other members of the media, interviewed a couple guys that the Cowboys ended up drafting since they were the home team.
Was that the Baker Mayfield draft, 18?
That was, yes. It was Baker, Saquon, Darnold for the local flavor.
What was Saquon like? Did you meet him?
I was only in his press conference. I did not get up close and personal with him, but he handled the moment really well. Same with Darnold. I actually did a one-on-one interview with Connor Williams, who was the Cowboys starting guard for a couple of years, and I think now he's with the Dolphins. But he was a really good one to get because he was a Texas Longhorn, and so he was the hometown kid getting drafted there. Hit it off with a couple members of the NFL media like Ross Tucker, if you listen to his show or listen to him on Sirius XM. A couple of the other guys there as well that were more local Dallas area reporters. But we had some really great moments down there. It was a ton of fun, but after that, I felt like as much as I wanted to be on the air, I probably needed to be a little more practical and work off air, work behind the scenes. And right as I graduated, Montclair, MLB and NHL Network came in to do interviews together. And they were looking for broadcast associates, and they didn't actually bring me in that initial round. But by the start of the playoffs the following fall, so it was October of 2018 at MLB Network, I was working as a game logger, which, to sum it up in the short way, they were paying me to watch games and keep track of what happened in both hockey and baseball games, which there's a lot worse ways to make money. So that was a lot of fun, and it was a good experience. I eventually wound up working in graphics, making live to air full screen graphics. So, if you watch NHL Tonight and there's St. Louis Blues all-time leading scorers with a bunch of cool pictures of Brett Hull and Adam Oates and Craig Janney and all the guys over the years, that was something that I used to make and used to go searching for. So I worked there up until the pandemic hit. And then they didn't all get brought back. And I wound up just trying to get something a little slower, because as fun as it is to work in media, it's really hard hours and really hard to have a social life and want it to slow down. I am a 9-to-5 worker now, and I work in logistics and shipping, but I moonlight as a psychotic Ranger fan. So
don't we all?
Yeah. So talk about your blog a little bit before we move on. I want the fans to know like what your Rangers content that you're currently up to.
So the blog is the Broadway Breakdown, as the shirt says. Kicked a lot of names around back in the summer, but I've used WordPress a couple different times over the years to have a few different endeavors. None of them really felt right for me. I did them with a couple different friends, and they were all fun, but one would gain a little momentum and then we would lose some. And it was hard to keep up, and life gets in the way, right? But this was one that I felt like I could just do on my own time, and I wanted the freedom to write about all my favorite teams and all the things here in the New York area that I enjoy, and then I sometimes can take it nationally. So I do have a recurring Ranger piece specific to, since we're here on a Rangers themed podcast, we do need to talk about our guys. I do have a specific Rangers recurring piece, and you'll notice when you read the site, there's always a little bit of a flavor of pop culture. I'm a very old soul for 27 years old, so my football blog about the Jets and Giants was the Swamps of Jersey for Bruce Springsteen, and the Ranger recurring series is the Nights on Broadway, like as in the Bee Gees. So trying to have a little bit of a cross-section of culture and sports. You'll get movies and TV shows dropped in as well along the way, but really I just want to have something that is there on a weekly or bi-weekly basis that we can talk about the team and the league as a whole, because as much as I love to sit and talk about the Rangers, I watch a lot of hockey. I'm a center ice package subscriber, so I'm the guy who's up at 1 a.m. watching the Canucks. Like I got to watch as much as I can. And I like to share it just with my friends and the rest of the readers that we have. We've been really fortunate so far to have some good collaborations, especially with you guys here at the pod, and your Hall of Fame content was a massive hit. So that was a big piece for us. It drove a lot of traffic, and it's a one-man band right now. I have some production help and some my research assistant, my wonderful girlfriend. She does a fantastic job. She's finding stats to be a growing enterprise. She was learning a lot about the salary cap last night, so God bless her, because I can't do math at all. So someone's got to be able to help uncrunch the numbers for myself and Drury. But it's a hobby that maybe one day can become something more. But it feels good to be doing. I'll say that.
Well, Nick, I'm sure you've noticed, but we dropped a lot of movie and TV quotes into our episode. So that could help you out in your pop culture part of the blog. Just throwing it out there. Cuz, look like you had a question?
No.
Oh,
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What has become of these radio announcers, not radio, television, and that broadcasters and commentators that, like, Joe Buck gets away with it in football and baseball because there's downtime in those games.
Mm-hmm.
So they tend to talk about stories of the players. But I've seen more and more. I've noticed it with Sam Rosen especially, but now I watch the Devils a little bit, the Islanders. They just go off on tangents while the game's going on. What do they teach in the school? Like, to just start talking about stuff?
It's a great question. I feel with hockey, it's way too hard to do, and I've really not gotten many chances to call any hockey games. I would practice, but the pace is too fast. I always really liked doing baseball, to be honest, and because it was the chance to take it and weave in some story. You know, I went to a broadcasting camp at a young age that Bruce Beck and Ian Eagle run every summer still at Montclair State, and they always talk about the different art form to each sport. And, you know, baseball, I believe it's prior to the pitch clock, it averaged 17 seconds of dead air in between each pitch, right? So you really had to fill. I don't know where it's coming from in hockey. I feel the same way as you, Coach, when it comes to – I watched the Devils broadcast, and I actually think the new guy's pretty good. The play-by-play guy does a nice job. He's got a good voice. But they do just go off on these tangents, and I don't ever want to, like, blaspheme about Sam because I love Sam, and I even really like Joe. But I can't for the life of me understand why and you guys tell me how you feel about it. When you put on an MSG telecast, especially in the new year, I feel like I'm watching the road team's feed or the opponent's feed. The Hurricanes was the worst. It was like the Andrei Svechnikov fan club in the booth at MSG. I was like, I got to turn this off. That game was about to, thank God. I couldn't listen
They go out of their way not to be homers, which is better than the alternative. But it's still not good. It's better than just being blatant homers. I know a lot of fans are like, oh, I want them to be homers. Like, no. I want objective analysis, you know, even as a MSG, you know, feed. But I got to say, like, you watch a lot of hockey. They are not even close to as being a homer if you watch some games around the league. I mean, you watch the Panthers games, it's crazy. Everything's a penalty. Panthers, they have all the best players in the league, you know. You watch all the teams. Their feeds are just geared towards drawing fans to like the team because they need that. The Rangers have such a strong fan base that I don't think they really need that, right? So they go out of their way to try to be objective, and it's like too much. You know,
the Islander telecast, you'd swear they've never gotten a call in their entire franchise history.
Right. And that Barzal's gonna be in the Hall of Fame before he retires, and he's gonna have the most assists ever in the world.
I call Barzal, I call him Captain Shell in my group chat with my friends because he just spins with the puck.
Oh my God,
he just skates in circles, and then he makes one pass and they lose it. Like, I don't think he's all he's cracked up to be at all. I'm with you, Nick. I'm with you, Nick.
He's not. But you know who is? You got his jersey right behind you. A little preview of our next segment. Mark Messier. So let's get into Jersey Profiles, sponsored by Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey.
Our buddy Oscar, a huge Rangers fan himself, started his company by stitching his own blue shirts. Once he perfected his craft and started to fall in love with his work, the man started to grow. Oscar stitches every jersey with love and dedication to authenticity, which never disappoints. His talent is hard to find in any store out there. Are you like Cousin Ed? You have a lingering jersey curse that every player he gets a jersey of gets traded or injured and hurts the Rangers team? You want to change things up? You want to take an Eric Lindros jersey and make it a vintage Ken Hodge jersey in the late 70s? Got an old jersey collecting dust in your closet? Want to throw your name on the back and add a nice number of one of your favorite players? You can bring it back to life with a brand new kit at Oscar's Pro Stitch. So head on over to Oscar's Instagram at Oscars PSH. That's OSCARS PSH to check out the countless tarps he's already done and to place the order for his next one that possibly can post on Instagram and get ready to wear it to the next Ranger game or any event that you have coming up. Tell him the boys from Rangers Ed sent you and receive a special discount at Oscars Pro Stitch Hockey. Go get him, Rangers.
There he is.
The
Messiah.
Episode 111. We're going Mark Messier, obviously, the captain. This, by the way, is a Forever Collectibles number 96 out of 20,011, 2001 limited edition. So it's pretty cool. I don't remember where I got it, but a little preview for inside the Ranger room there. Messier played 10 years.
1994, my 1994 wall. Bunch of Messier memorabilia back there.
Yeah, Messier is just all over this room. It's hard to pick one thing, but he played 10 years with the Rangers. It's kind of incredible. He played 25 seasons in the NHL and only 10 with the Rangers. 698 games, 250 goals, 441 assists with the Rangers. He was a first-team All-Star in 91-92. That year, he won the Hart Trophy and also the Lester B. Pearson Award. His number 11 was retired by the Rangers on January 12th, 2006. In 2007, he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and obviously he captained the Rangers to the 1994 Stanley Cup Championship. The biggest thing, Messier, Game 6 against New Jersey, guaranteed a victory and backed it up with a hat trick. I think that's what solidified him in hockey lore in New York. And that photo right there is the classic Messier holding the cup, smiling like that. I mean, what a moment for Ranger fans, especially those who've been waiting a long time at that point. It feels like it's almost been as long now, but it's not. We're not quite there. We got another 20 something years to wait before it's as long as they waited. So
let's hope not.
I don't know. What else is there to say about Messier, boys?
The captain.
Yeah, coach, you got something?
I don't know. He's just the ultimate hockey player. Mix of skill and nastiness and, like Gordie Howe from one generation. He was the next Gordie Howe. You talk about the next Wayne Gretzky. He was the next Gordie Howe. You went into the corner with him. Players feared it. He would throw the knuckles. He would do everything you needed to do to win.
He was dirty. He was a dirty, dirty player. I mean, if he played now, he'd be suspended left and right. I mean, there's that one clip. Everybody knows this clip. Fans, maybe we'll tweet it or find it. The Mike Modano play where Messier just skates by and elbows Modano in the head. Modano goes down. He's taken off the ice on a stretcher. And then the guy's putting him into the ambulance. The video cuts to the back, and they show them putting Modano into an ambulance on a stretcher, and they drop him. They drop him, and he falls to the floor, like the concrete floor, and they have to pick him up, and they're like, oh, my God. That play, it's crazy now. Thank God Modano's fine. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the, everything's okay. It's funny we could talk about it. But,
incredibly good looking.
How did they drop him? First of all, but whatever. But the way he just skates by and clips Modano like that, it's just that, oh, man. I don't remember that as a kid. I don't remember that part of Messier's game, but that was a big part of his game. He was a dirty player.
Yeah, and a lot of people or a lot of players will tell you that too. Coach, didn't you ask someone at the Hall of Fame about stories and then they refused to answer?
Yeah, Mike Vernon.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
He wouldn't even. He actually walked away from me. He goes, "I don't even want to talk about it." And he walked away.
Yeah.
Because I asked him the year they won the Stanley Cup, Calgary. I said, what was it like when you played the Oilers and Messier was there that year? What did you guys discuss in the locker room beforehand? And what are we going to do? And he goes, I don't even want to talk about. He goes, I don't even want to answer
journalist,
that
Coach Ed.
Yeah. I felt like I was talking to Tortorella. He just didn't even want to discuss it.
Hilarious. You channeled your inner Larry Brooks, Coach.
But this is my I have Messier's autograph up here that Silly's dad actually got us on the Sports Illustrated cover, I think it is. It's up there. No, it's actually the Hall of Fame, I think. He got an autograph for us. But this I got out of a hockey magazine before the Rangers won the cup. And I cut it out and I framed it. It was just like, look at the statuesque picture of him just standing there.
That's after they won the cup.
No, this is before.
Banner. There's a banner in the background.
It says 3930. It says 1939.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wow.
Fans head on over to YouTube to see Coach Ed's old.
Maybe I'm dyslexic.
And I framed this, and it's hanging in the Ranger room, and it's just like, he was brought here to get the cup, and he delivered. I mean,
yep.
Joe Namath did it in one game, but he wasn't expected to deliver a Super Bowl. But Messier was brought here to get the cup, and he did it.
Yeah. Before we move off the jersey profile, I kind of put it on myself to bring an interesting story, but this time I have Messier's book that I'm slowly but surely getting through. No One Wins Alone. So I wanted to get a little quote that might segue us into this episode.
Didn't you start that in season 2?
Yeah, I'm slowly but surely getting through it. I told you that. So anyway, the game showed me there can be different systems or visions of winning, and you have to believe in yours. The race isn't always to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Or put another way, as I like to say, there are many ways to the one way. A decade or so later, I would have the best seat in the house to witness confirmation of the theory. In a physical game, a skinny kid from Brantford, Ontario, Wayne Gretzky, proved that skill and hockey IQ can be just as effective as brute force. So I thought that was interesting. I think that
that's on page 2. What are you up to? Page 3?
It's on page 28, and I'm sure it's a lot further than all the books behind you there, Coach. So anyway. The other one,
like Subban and Messier on ESPN. This is good. There's a lot of,
yeah. So I thought that was interesting because it seems like NHL is always a copycat league, and everyone is always like, okay, who won the Stanley Cup last year? How'd they do it? But I think it's important that hopefully we could trust Chris Drury to build a team his way, and it'll be successful. So I thought that quote was interesting. And then another one which is similar is if a team doesn't have true solidarity, that's a deep vulnerability. Something very, very subtle, and I just thought very effective. So
yeah, that's definitely true. Also,
that's something what Drew Doughty was talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that the Rangers have lost sight of recently, as opposed to the beginning of the season when all of their passes were on point, and it seemed like they were all after the same mission. But it seems like they're falling apart a little bit recently. And like I said, I just thought that was interesting.
Nick, that jersey, is that Oscar worthy? I wonder what Oscar would think of that.
If I had known Oscar back then, I would have certainly gone that route. And it's funny enough, Oscar and I are from the same town here in northern New Jersey. We found that out a few weeks ago. But it's vintage CCM. I love that make. I wish the jerseys would go back to that. I like that style more. The Adidas are fine, but I like that vintage look. I have too many of them, to be honest, but I had to have a Messiah jersey. He's my parents' favorite Ranger. Both my mother and father are huge fans. But Messier and Reijo Ruotsalainen for my mother, and then otherwise it's
Reijo Ruotsalainen, Plexi Rexy.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mom liked Tomas Sandstrom, and he was there for like a year.
So. That's a really good. See, I love random ones. My friend and I do the Ranger countdown to the season. I love to throw like a Lee Stepniak or like some guy from the '80s in there, just like really mess with everybody. But my father loves Messier, and that when they traded for him, it was a moment that solidified his fandom. And now that I don't know, it feels special. We're season ticket holders together now. It feels special that. It's like a full circle thing for him and I. So I do love this one.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. Well, the captain, Mark Messier, episode 111, jersey profile. All right, so prior to the last episode, the Rangers were 29-15-2. They went 1-1-1. They're now 30-16-3, 63 points. Still first in the Metro, hanging on by a thread, and down to 8th in the NHL. They started out at San Jose with a 3-2 overtime loss. They blew a 2-0 lead in that game and managed to get a point against the worst team in hockey. Then they lost 5-2 to Vegas at home and won 7-2 against Ottawa on the road with 7 unanswered goals. So let's take down, let's start off with the Jacob Trouba suspension that came down after his elbow in the Vegas game. He misses the game against Ottawa. Connor Mackey gets his Rangers debut and ends up with a big fight. Brady Tkachuk challenges him. He fights Brady Tkachuk, holds his own, I thought, in the Tkachuk fight. Takes Tkachuk off the ice for 5 minutes, and then the Rangers went on to score 7 unanswered goals. So here you go. Trouba, a big part of, our defensive player of the week, a lot. I know the fans are all over Trouba, but, honestly, Trouba's been a rock pretty much the whole season on the back end. Comes out, Mackey comes in. So first of all, let's start with you, Coach. The Trouba elbow off the face-off, he did chicken wing his elbow out there, clipped the guy in the head, got a 2-game suspension. In light of the Gallagher 5-game suspension, you think that was the right call? And then also, what'd you think of Connor Mackey chucking knucks with Brady Tkachuk?
Well, first of all,
that was a little bit of poetry right there, actually. Chucking knucks with Brady Tkachuk.
Very good. That was iambic pentameter. First of all, if Trouba got 2 games for that, I could hardly see it even on the replay. I'm not saying it didn't happen. If he got 2 games for that, Gallagher should have got like 20 games. Because it wasn't even close to the same kind of play. And Gallagher has a history of it, obviously, with his reputation.
Wait, first of all, I said that online and I got in a lot of trouble. Gallagher's never been suspended. I was shocked to see that.
Then I take it back. I thought he's been suspended.
He has the reputation to do that stuff. But I looked it up myself. He's never been suspended.
He's not dirty. Wow. He's just a pest. He's like one of those.
I see
guys.
I don't know.
I could have sworn he was. All right. Well, then I stand corrected.
Well, forget that. Do you think the Trouba smack to the head where he only got fined $5,000 had anything to do with him getting a 2-game suspension here for this?
I would guess that had to be part of it, part of the decision. Sure. I mean, that's twice within a month or so. So, it did warrant something.
I mean, to me, I think
he probably did it more out of frustration.
If he doesn't smack Frederick in the head and get the fine, if that never happens, is he walking away with a $5,000 fine here instead of a suspension? I mean, I think that's
I would say yes.
Yeah, I think
I would say yes because I didn't see it being that vicious. He
Nick,
wasn't in motion.
Go ahead.
Nick, you agree? You said yes?
Yeah, I agree. I think I think the Frederick thing is in the back of Department of Player Safety's mind completely there. They got so much heat for something that, it was a bad moment and he should have been, it was hard to believe he didn't even get penalized. I was at that game, but I didn't even see it. I don't think anybody noticed it in the moment.
No,
it was a bad job by the officials, but I think the officials are in the wrong spot to make a call almost every night in this league as it is. And when they do, they call what they want. But I think, they had the outcry for bloody murder from guys from the Hockey News, and that was overkill. I think they just felt like they had to do something this time. And, I think Coach nailed it. If he didn't have that one, it's probably just a fine.
They could have given him a game, though. 2 games is a little steep, but I mean, what I'll say is I think it's going to be a blessing in disguise. I think he could use a little extra time off. His body's definitely been taking a beating this season with hits and blocks and eating up minutes and just being, like Cousin Ed said before, like our rock this season. And luckily they were able to squeeze out 1 win so far without him. I think the Avalanche is going to be obviously a much bigger challenge after the break without him, as opposed to the Senators. So we'll see. But like I said, I think just having a break, maybe even just not playing against the Avalanche, will just give him that little extra jump for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's true. I I think it's interesting because Lindgren got hurt also. So with the Trouba suspension coupled with Lindgren being out, now you have to take two of the Rangers' best penalty killing defensive-minded defensemen. For all the warts that the fans think they have, two of the Rangers' better defensive defensemen are out. Insert Zach Jones, who's been in and out of the lineup all year, is an offensive-minded guy. Insert Connor Mackey, who hasn't played a game this year with the team. And those two guys, I thought, were two of their best defensemen in the game. I mean, Jones was +4, he got a goal and an assist. And Mackey, with the fight, and he was getting pucks through even before that. I was impressed. He's on the blue line. He wasn't afraid to shoot. He was getting pucks to the net. And the Rangers were, struggling to do that, I think. And I think Joe made the point on the broadcast. It's good to see a defenseman just get the puck and fire it at the net. And I was very impressed with both those guys. So it's interesting. I wonder if, those two players' impacts were taken out and Trouba and Lindgren were in. I'm not saying they would have lost, but, I wonder what would have happened in that game because I thought they both impacted it pretty strongly.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is obviously, other than them having a strong game, is just their ability to be able to step in. I don't know if you guys saw the post game or not, but I believe I might be getting this slightly wrong, but Mackey played in Cleveland the night before with the Wolfpack. Took a 5 a.m. flight to Ottawa, was able to eat breakfast, squeeze a nap in, wake up with the team, have the team meeting, whatever, pregame, obviously get in the warm-up, and play. And then fight Brady Tkachuk. To me, that's just unbelievable whether he played a good game or not, just the fact that he was able to step in and do that. And Jones, the same thing. It's a little bit different. He's been traveling with the team the whole season, but for him to be able to step in and play a good game, it's very impressive. Yeah,
before we move off that, what did you guys think of Tkachuk not getting an instigator after Mackey threw a big hit on Tim Stützle in the corner? Clean hit. And then Tkachuk just challenges him to a fight. He accepts the challenge. How's that not an instigator penalty? I was a little baffled by that.
You're asking the wrong people because that's another inconsistency.
They don't call it with enough regularity. I think it's crazy. I mean, last year there were a couple times in being at games, I always go back to the Trouba hit on Kadri against the Flames last season where the whole Flames team came flying in as the extra man, and they still didn't call it.
That was crazy.
So spotty with it.
Yeah, to me, the frustrating part is the severity of the hit. Whereas, I understand if it's a huge open ice hit on one of your star players or your rookie players, whatever. I know Stützle's still young, so Tkachuk probably feels a little protective over him. But it's a 50-50 puck in the corner. But that happens all the time. And when I say 50-50, half of it was Stützle trying to go after Mackey also. So Mackey's just a bigger guy there. Yeah, they were both going after the puck. So to me, it didn't warrant something like that to begin with. And then obviously the NHL not calling it is a completely different story.
Never mind Ottawa being up 2-0 at the time, and Tkachuk challenging a guy who's been in the AHL the whole season to a fight just sparks the Rangers to a 7-goal onslaught,
which is great.
Not really an intelligent decision by Tkachuk, honestly, to give the Rangers a life.
Well, I don't know if he could have known that the Rangers were going to score 5 unanswered goals in that period. I mean, come on, the way the Rangers are playing.
But you gave him.
But the way the Rangers are playing in the last week, that's not a big gamble.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're winning 2-0. I don't see a reason to do that. I mean, unless it's Eddie said, it's a big open ice hit or something on a.
I want to see him challenge Trouba. I want to see him challenge Trouba in a game like that. Not a rookie who's playing his first game.
It felt like he took advantage of knowing that the bad cop wasn't out there at a coach's point.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think with Ottawa, what's odd, and it's definitely a weird time for it, but they are. I don't know, this is probably the 5th or 6th time in the last 3 years they're searching for a team identity. They are such a dysfunctional mess. When we were down 2-0 on Saturday night, I was like, if this is officially rock bottom, losing to them. But
I know.
It was an odd choice. I like Tkachuk as a player. I like his brother even more. I think we could all agree they're they're really talented and they're the type of guys that thrive in a playoff game. But it was an odd time for it. I give Mackey a ton of credit that he was able to come in and contribute. I would, before you guys by all means move on to the next one, but I do just have to ask, would you guys consider giving Mackey another game? He might have to because of the suspension, but it's been talked about. I read Larry Brooks' most recent piece about the Rangers aren't physical enough. Would you try him over Gustafson for a little bit and see if there's something there? Because you don't get a physical edge from some of the guys on defense, especially if Lindgren's not going to play.
I would toss him into Trouba's spot against the Avalanche, no doubt. I mean, see what he's got. I mean, he kind of I don't want to say he's as good as Trouba, but he has the same build, same mentality, same game style, I guess you could say. So I think that might work out in his favor. Cuz, go ahead.
I'd probably play Jones over him against Colorado. I think Jones is a better puck mover, and
that's why it's a good podcast, Nick.
No, this is my opinion. I think in that game, you got a high flying team that's going to move the puck and skate really fast, and I think Jones is going to be needed on the back end. So I'd probably use Jones. I wouldn't try Mackey over Gustafson. I think Gustafson's actually pretty physical. He's probably one of the Rangers' more physical D, honestly. Yeah.
He's a great. He's been a bargain find. He's been tremendous for them.
Yeah. How many hits does he have this year? He's got to have like 50, 60 hits at least.
Wait a minute. This is coming from a guy who had about 20 texts saying how soft the Rangers are, and you want to put Jones in over the kid Mackey?
I would put Jones in against Colorado, I said, in that game, in that particular game.
But don't you think Colorado needs to be banged around a little bit?
Yeah, I think
you got to catch him. You got to catch him, but I also don't think Mackey's like an overly physical guy. It's not like, it's not like he's Trouba, I mean, he threw a big hit, but I don't think his reputation is being this big physical defenseman. He's more of like a two-way guy who's a pretty decent skater.
I think it's the size thing more than anything, right, that makes him jump out. But I mean, no matter who it is against the Avalanche, it's a pray you don't end up on the ice at the same time as McKinnon and Rantanen kind of night for
I know
all of them.
Yeah, I know
that's tough. I didn't even realize Trouba's not going to be in against the Avalanche.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. We got Keandre Miller, so he'll take care of it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right.
So let's talk about – yeah, go
ahead. Before we move off of Mackey, I want to give Mikey a little segment, Mikey's fight review, because he's got Revo hanging behind him still. So
okay.
What'd you think? Yeah, I just thought of it. Mikey's fight review.
He could definitely throw the hands. I want to see him out there one more time. I absolutely love that part of the game. Like that's the part of the game that unfortunately is starting to slowly leave. But when you throw down like that, when you get challenged, your first NHL game, you have to drop the gloves regardless of who it is. And he answered the bell, so you got to get.
Yeah, well, it was his first game with the Rangers. He's played NHL games before, but yeah, he needed to make his mark on the team. Like he can't back down from the fight there. I take your point.
My bigger question
first game as a Ranger might as well be your first NHL game all over again. I feel like the stage just kind of resets, especially for someone that's in the AHL. Maybe not like a veteran coming over to the Rangers, but what I mean.
My question is, what was the Goodrow situation? What if he takes his jaw is healed that well, where he gets challenged, he goes at it? It looked like he was just trying to avoid getting punched.
I think he's trying to avoid getting traded. It's the biggest thing there.
Goodrow has been
trying to get on the score sheet
since we did our midseason report cards. I was hard on Goodrow. I put him in the doghouse. I really haven't liked this game, but this is the Goodrow that he needs to be. I mean, he needs to mix it up. He's got to do stuff like that. I know his jaw's messed up, but if he's not going to be doing that, he's not impacting the game enough. And I know his salary sucks, and we get it, but he can still be an effective player as long as he's mixing it up, forechecking, and being a pest. Got to do it. Otherwise,
I think it's great, but I just think I don't know if he challenged the guy or the guy challenged him. I mean, you have to know that the guy just came off for a broken jaw.
No, he went in there and rustled feathers. I think it was him doing it, if I remember.
Good for him.
He did just tell Larry Brooks recently that he, with the fishbowl on for the last several weeks, he felt like it was hard to be his fully engaged self. So maybe we see that edge come back to his game. Like, the coaches love him. The last two regimes have said that. I don't think he's going anywhere. He does the stuff that helps you win in the playoffs. Unfortunately, the cap hit's a little high, as we've said before, right? But he can provide value, so you hope that comes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what his main job is. I think. I mean, his regular season stats obviously need to be a little bit better, but what he brings onto the table, I think, is yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he picks it up and takes that kind of mentality into the playoffs. I think it'll be important and bleed through the rest of the team. That's why he's there.
Right.
All right, let's talk about Keandre Miller. I mentioned him earlier. This guy, every game he just creates a boneheaded mental mistake that leads to a goal. It ends up in the net every time. He can't catch a break on that either, and he just looks lost out there. I mean, to me, he just doesn't – there's something going on. I know earlier in the season he missed, I think, 2 games. I tweeted this out, because fans are ready to trade him for anything at this point. I tweeted this out. I wouldn't be so quick to trade this kid. He's 24 years old. We know what kind of talent he has. And don't forget, he missed 2 games earlier in the year with personal reasons, which haven't been divulged. Is he going through something? Is this a mental thing? Has he lost it? I mean, where are we at with Keandre Miller? Is he trade bait or are we holding on? I mean, where do you guys know how I feel? I'm curious. We'll start with you, Nick. I mean, where are you at with this kid?
Model New York City girlfriend.
I did think about that after last season, because I remember
the timeline lines up perfectly, Nick. If you just take a step back and look, the timeline is right there.
You're listen. Someone has to sleuth this stuff out. You're on the case.
You heard it here first.
I'm a really big fan of Miller's game. I thought his 21-22 season en route to the conference finals was really terrific for such a young defender. He's an athletic freak. He's got traits he can't teach. Those are all really promising things that are worth developing. What has worried me about him is I've felt that this has been something that started last season post-suspension after the Doughty incident. And I'm not saying it's connected to the Doughty thing, but I felt his game dropped off when he came back. He was bad against the Devils in the first round. I remember saying to my father when they had been 30 games into the season this year, I thought he had 15 good games and 15 bad games. He's a mixed bag. And I would love to keep developing him, but I do think they're a win now team. I know that it's been a rough last, 11, 12 games, whatever it is. I know they've been 500 over the last 26 games, but I think there's things within that I know we're probably going to get to that, I think with the context are a little more of an explanation for that. What worries me about him is that he will make these boneheaded mistakes in the playoffs and he's not physical enough. And I think we're hearing a lot about the trade market is leading to a situation where the value is crazy high for certain guys. I think the Rangers have to mitigate the cost to make some of these trades by using some guys on this roster 94 style. Someone's got to be Tony Amani in this scenario, unfortunately, or Todd Marchant or Doug Waite the year before. I just think I don't think the mix is quite right here. And I don't really want to get on a lot of the core guys because I defend most of them to the end and they're the bread and butter of this group. But I want Miller to develop as a Ranger, but I worry that we're going to reach a point where it's too late and he only has 1 more year left after this one. So the value is going to be high here with 1.5 years on his deal. So I'm in the trade him camp personally.
Little Ed, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Nick. Not to repeat too much of what he said, but I used to love his game, and we've been talking about it on the show a lot. I used to love the way his game was below the goal line, and his offensive ability that he brought to the table was a bonus to me. And to me now it's the other way around, where it's like all he has is his offensive ability, and he's losing that grit and that defensive ability. As far as him being a trade piece, hey, if it happens, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But at the same time, I don't necessarily want it to happen because I saw that player a lot. And I know what kind of player he can be because we literally saw it. So, to me, it's hard to accept the fact that just disappeared this early in his career.
Coach, I'll let you say your piece.
I just don't look. I predicted after that playoff run 2 years ago that he was going to be in line. I don't know which year it was, but to get 20 goals, that's how good I thought he was going to a playoff he had, and then just downhill. I don't know what it is. Maybe the pressure in New York City's not for him. I don't know. If they trade him, I'm not going to cry over it either. If it's for the right player.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? No player is really untouchable, especially on this roster. I don't think there's a single guy I would say is untouchable. Maybe
Adam
Fox. Yeah, maybe.
I would say Fox.
But I wouldn't say he's untouchable. I mean, there's I would trade Fox for McKinnon. I would trade Fox for McDavid, right? So there's certain guys you could lure me to trade Fox.
But that's an unrealistic trade.
All right. But it's still he's available in the right deal, right? So there's guys I would trade Miller for. I'm not saying I wouldn't trade him.
There's a category of untouchables for other untouchables.
Right, exactly. But that's true. I'm seeing Miller being like fans wanting to trade Miller to Ottawa for Chikrin and Tarasenko, and I'm like, dude, what? Like, how short-sighted is that? First of all, Jacob Chikrin.
I wouldn't hate that.
Let me tell you why. Jacob Chikrin.
Hands up, I'll admit it. That was me who tweeted that back at you guys. So that was
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that or notice that.
I wouldn't hate that.
I'm not offended. Don't worry. I just thought Chikrin. It's the same body type, and he's just a more physical player. That was why I value him.
Chikrin is injury prone every year. He's banged up. He's out every single year. He's inconsistent, just like Miller. Fans don't watch him every day, so they don't know that. Then you watch the guy play, and then all of a sudden he's the whipping boy. Now we want to trade Chikrin and blah blah blah. Right. Tarasenko's an unrestricted free agent. At the end of the season, we're gonna get him again. I don't mind getting him, but not for Keandre Miller, a guy who projects to be Victor Hedman in like 3 years if we just be patient, right? So this is a guy who's going through a rough time right now. That doesn't mean we turn around and just dump him. In the right deal, I'm willing to consider trading him. I'm not saying like I wouldn't trade him at all, but I'm not putting him out there as like a piece to create cap space to bring in multiple guys to make a last-ditch run because my team is aging. That's not the way I'm running the team if I'm the GM, but who knows? Maybe Drury just doesn't like certain guys, or they rub him the wrong way, or he notices trends. He's in the locker room. Maybe he's seeing something with Miller that he's saying, this is the guy I got to cut bait on, and we don't know what's going on, right? So if that's the case, you got to kind of just trust that Drury knows what he's doing and hope that he makes the right call. But I'll tell you what, if they trade Keandre Miller to Ottawa and he becomes Victor Hedman and the Rangers don't win the Stanley Cup, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it because you brought up 94. No, listen, you brought up 94. Okay. Yeah. And like, yes, that worked out. The Rangers won the cup and all those guys contributed, but they lost out on a decade and a half of Doug Weight and Tony Amonte and probably multiple runs at Stanley Cups because they traded those guys. And Mike Gartner, they traded all these guys. Right? So it's got to be the right move. I don't know. I just want fans to be a little patient. Like Kakko too. Kakko's struggling. Fans are trying to trade him. They wanted to trade Laugh in preseason. Now he's the next coming of Sidney Crosby. It's like, come on, guys. Like, you just have a little bit of patience with these young players. Patience. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I mean, it would make it a lot easier if we knew what was going on with him. Obviously, we're never going to know, or I don't think we're ever going to know. I'm half kidding about the girlfriend. The timeline does line up, especially with the personal issues. I'm just saying. So. We'll see.
I mean, I think there's something to that. I mean, and Coach said it. Some guys can't handle it in New York. I don't know if he can't handle it, but there's different ways you can't handle New York, right? Like it could be the pressure of playing in New York, or it could be the opportunities to create trouble in New York that also makes you not be able to handle New York. And maybe Miller's one of those guys that's just having a ton of fun in New York, and that's affecting his game in other ways. I don't know. That could be it.
I feel like when you watch him right now, he looks unsure of himself a lot. That's at least for me when I watch his game.
Definitely.
To Coach's point, I thought he had great offensive instincts after the playoff run when I remember him scoring against Tampa in the conference finals, and I thought he could be a power play quarterback. And I just feel like there's a lot of indecision in his game at times. That's not like I think it's a different thing with the development. Like he hasn't been here as long. This is a different coaching staff that I think can get a lot more out of him. I really like the Housley connection. You see the work he does on the bench with the group. It's just if the right thing came along, I think, and you're probably going to, we'll get to this, I'm sure, but I think the calculus has changed on whether or not guys on the roster will survive the deadline based off of the cap situation changing as well.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into that.
Let's see.
Let me say one more thing. Where I don't see him developing is I'll take that overtime game against the Sharks. He's out there 3-on-3. He makes a complete wrong play on that guy that leads to the goal. Is he trying to get better with it, or is he just relying on his skill to become Victor Hedman? Is he learning about stick position? Is he learning about what he should be doing? I don't see that in the last year and a half. I just see the same things over and over. Or is he worried about his girlfriend in New York City?
Yeah.
Because if you want to be Victor Hedman, you better be working your ass off and figuring out how to play in the NHL as a Victor Hedman, not just going through motions. And that's what I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my rant.
No, I don't disagree with you, but I just don't want to give
You're
up on
telling me in
kids,
3 years he's
for a
projected
shot
to
in
be
the
Victor
dark.
Hedman? You're telling me in 3 years he's projected to be Victor Hedman, but I don't see anything near that in the last year and a half to say that.
No, I don't disagree with you that he's
I'm not
been
arguing
trending
with
down.
you. I'm giving you my answer to that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair to question it. I just don't want the Rangers to do anything stupid here.
No, I agree with you. I don't want to give him up. I'm not running him out of town for nothing.
Right.
But if there's a move that they could make, I'm not afraid to let him go. I don't think he's going to be Brian Leach, and I don't think he's going to be Victor Hedman. I could be wrong, but I don't see it.
Not right now. I saw it back then, like I was just saying, but I don't see it now.
Speaking of inconsistency, we got to talk about Igor Shesterkin.
Maybe Erik Karlsson.
The Rangers are 4-5-1 in their last 10, and they're only 12-2-2 since they started the year 18-4-1. So they're under they're NHL 500, but under 500 in their last 26 games here. So the question I was pondering is why, right? Why is this happening? At the team, they won without Adam Fox. Hedl got hurt. They won without him. They won without Kakko. What has really changed? And I keep coming back to Igor Shesterkin. And I don't want to be one of those fans that just talks about goalies. Oh, the goalie sucks. He lets in a goal. And I do that sometimes, but I'm trying not to. There's reasons goals go in. But when you watch Jonathan Quick in the Ottawa game and you watch Igor Shesterkin, that's what I think we're talking about, right? Like Quick is down 2-0, and then he shuts the door. He had to make some big saves while that game was 2-0. If Igor was in net, that's a 4 or 5-0 game, and the game's over. The Rangers aren't coming back, So I don't really know what's going on with him. If this is a mental thing with him, or if he's just, something's off positionally, if he's injured, if he's got his baby, his young kid or whatever. I don't know what is going on with Igor, but he has the worst save percentage in the NHL since the January 1st of eligible goaltenders. The lowest save percentage of qualifying goalies. And if you look in these games, I'm going to end my rant in a second and let you guys chime in. But if you look at these games, right, he lets in 15, he makes 15 saves on 19 shots. 19 shots, 15 saves. And then 19 saves on 22 shots. I mean, he's not getting the doors blown off him and just, being peppered and he can't make a stop. He's giving up key goals, back-to-back goals within minutes. I don't know. I mean, Little Ed, what are your thoughts on Igor? Do you see any silver lining here, or what do they got to do here?
No, I'm not in the positive mind frame for this episode. I already gave Nick a fair warning earlier today that was going to happen. I don't see really any positivity in Igor's game, and it drives me nuts that he's going to go to the All-Star game and have a good time and pretend like he's having an All-Star caliber season. I mean,
he should not be the All-Star game. Insane.
Yeah, so something like that. I mean, I know a little behind the curtain with the group chat, you and I went back and forth a lot about the whole having a kid situation. I mean, I don't care what anybody says, that timeline adds up too. I mean, I'm not trying to say he should be giving his kid less time, but there's something has to be going on where he's not mentally all there. Where the number one priority right now is not stopping the puck. You know, like his number one priority, like I said, like I'm not going to try to sit here and say they shouldn't have children, they shouldn't do this, but face the facts, your number one priority is now your child. It's no longer the Rangers. You know, like I said, like the top players, whether they don't have children or they're the first thing that they say in their retirement interview or their statement is, I'm going to get to spend more time with my kids. Before that, they were spending way more time with the team and dedicating themselves to winning a Stanley Cup. You know, so like I said, I'm not trying to be that asshole or say they shouldn't have children, blah, blah, blah. But if they're going to make that choice, they're making that choice.
Well, you said the same thing about Zibanejad this year.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if we were going to get into that too, but those timelines add up too, where he had a baby girl and now he is exhausted. He doesn't have that grit. He doesn't have that drive. He doesn't have anything, where now his priorities, he even said it in his interview with Lundqvist on his podcast. His priorities all of a sudden shifted. He's now got to be there for his daughter. You know, like it's just, like I said, I'm not trying to say they shouldn't be having children, but the timeline adds up. It lines up.
I hate to give him that out though. It just seems
it's
like
not
an
out. It's not an out. It's just like it's a like you and Theo. So you and Theo decide to have a kid. Do you think she's making partner as early as she did? It's just a fact of life. If you decide to have children, your priorities shift. You know, like that's it.
Your drive is different. Your drive is different.
Right.
And the better players in history, their drives don't shift. That's the bottom line. Does Sidney Crosby have kids?
No, absolutely not. He's never even in public with a girlfriend.
And they're two-time cup winners.
But I guarantee you they'll say, I guarantee they'll be the first ones to say when they retire, I get to spend more time with my family and that kind of thing.
Of course. It's the fact that better players in any sport, their number one priority is the sport. That's how you get to be the best. You know, and you have to have a wife and children who understand that.
Nick, help me out.
That's the way it is.
What's the matter? I think Igor's been an enigma this season, to say the least. I feel like when you look at his games and you watch them like we all do, I think before the injury, I thought he looked really primed to have a big year. Came back from the injury and struggled. A lot's been made about the 12-12-2 record in the last 26, and understandably, because it's in stark contrast to the fast start, right? I think within those, there were goaltending performances that no team in this league were going to win games with. That's just, they could defend better to help him. They have to. They have to be more consistent in their own end and manage the puck better. But I don't think, he's .870 this month to Cousin Ed's point. I mean, that's not a winning formula. But I think Nick, we have to, keep in mind too that he had some stretches here. To me, around Christmas time and the New Year, I thought he was fixed. He was really good in Tampa on the weekend of New Year's Eve. I was at the Buffalo game that they won in overtime right before Christmas. He made 3 or 4 excellent saves in the overtime period, and he wound up making, I think, north of 30 saves in that game. The bounce back game after giving up 7 to Toronto the week before, they go to Toronto and he plays really well up there against a great offense. The performances are there. He's got to get back to some level of consistency. I thought if they weren't going on the break, it was a good time to give Quick a run of games and have him clear his head again. And I mean, we can't bank on this because it's not, hope's not a strategy. He needs to play better in the end. But there have been plenty of guys we've seen over the years, elite goaltenders or guys that are considered the top at the position, have a tough season and then still find a way to be really good in the playoffs. I think of Braden Holtby when the Caps won their cup, where he had a really tough regular season. He wasn't the game 1 or game 2 starter in the opening round, got in the third game and never gave the job back. Corey Crawford was pulled in a series for Chicago in the first round against Nashville, got back in the net at the end of the series and then turned the switch on. So it's there for him. He's got to be more consistent. They've gotten plenty of points banked. That's good news. I think it will come for him. It does need to, though. I mean, Larry Brooks put it really well in the post, like the trades that happened in 94 wouldn't have happened if Mike Richter was having this kind of season. So you're going to need him to find his way here.
Yeah, I agree. But I'll tell you what, Jonathan Quick should be starting February 5th when the Rangers play Colorado, and not Igor
I agree.
Shesterkin. But we'll see what Laviolette does.
I agree.
Before we move on, we gotta mention Philip Hedl. Hedl fought hard to come back in Czechia, and he ends up coming back to the U.S. and skating with the team in a non-contact capacity in his second time out. He is in a minimal contact drill with Jake Lecision, of all people, and steps on a stick, ends up falling. We don't really know what happened. Apparently, none of the beat reporters were watching, but they all just saw the aftermath. He got helped off the ice. I don't know how nobody saw what happened. Nobody knows, but he was on the ice and they helped him off. And the team announced he'll be out for the rest of the season. So Hedl out for the rest of the year with a head injury. And, we wish him well and hope he gets better. Rangers will bank his cap space on the long-term injured reserve for the deadline. They'll have about $5.2 million in space to make additions. One of them will need to be a third-line center unless they go with Brodzinski. We'll see. So I don't know if you guys want to say anything about that, or if you have any ideas of what they should be getting at the deadline before we move into Coach's Corner.
Yeah, I mean, from first off, the Hedl perspective, it's a horrible thing. He always seemed like such a likable guy. I know the media members have spoken so highly of him since the injury. And it's horrible if it happens to any player. I have really bad Michael Sauer flashbacks to this, with just this kind of career-threatening situation with the concussions. I felt bad thinking this in the moment when it happened, but I think this was a fear of mine before this injury reoccurred, that when and if he could get hurt again, and how likely it could potentially be that they would be in a worse position because their cap and all those things would be affected. And if it happened post deadline, they couldn't account for him and they couldn't replace him. So it's a really difficult spot to be in. I do think it brings them, at least they now know what they're dealing with the rest of the way. They know who they have. I know I shared the list of, some trade targets with you guys, and I think Cousin had hit the nail on the head before we started recording. It does become very repetitive and rumor based, right? To just be like, oh, this guy, that guy. I think I want them to add some, they've found something with how they've improved in the face-off circle this year. When I was looking at names last night, I didn't want to find some guys that would set them back in that department. The cap hits are obviously part of the equation. We've heard about Adam Henrique. We've heard about Vetrano coming back, which I'd be happy to have happen. But there's a guy that I've had circled for a while since Hedl got hurt originally, and that's Ryan Hartman with the Wild, who can play center and wing. You've seen him play well in top six situations with Kaprizov and Zuccarello in Minnesota. He was previously acquired by a Laviolette coach team in Nashville back, I think, in 2016 or 17 on one of their runs into the playoffs. So I think he's the kind of guy that fits what they would need. He could play in the third line center spot. He could play next to Zibanejad and Kreider. I know Monahan's name comes up a lot, but I think they're going to be looking more with the $5.2 million. As you said, I think it's an opportunity to have a deadline like they had 2 years ago, where they bring in good role players like an Andrew Kopp or a Mott or a Vetrano, just guys that are good, solid plug and plays.
That's the kind of move I'm looking to see. I mean, I just want a two-way center who could skate and win face-offs. It doesn't have to be a guy who's going to put up 100 points or anything like that. But I think Hartman's a good target.
Stromer the gamer.
No, please, Jesus. I don't know, Coach. You want to say anything about Heats?
I mean, I said it 2 years ago. He's got a glass jaw. I was worried then that the hits that he took and he got injured from were not NHL level hits that you should be injured from.
Yep.
So I questioned a couple of years ago if his body can take it. We talked about him working out and stuff, and then he did work out, and he still got hurt. That's why one of the reasons why I felt last year they should have traded him. They shouldn't have re-signed. I see the potential. I saw the 25 goals, but over a career, is it going to last? That's my question. And
let's remember,
now, obviously, way down.
Let's remember, though, Crosby had concussion issues and sat out for 2 seasons. and he was able to come back and avoid, serious injuries after that. So I wouldn't be quick to say this is the end of his career. I think his career's in jeopardy, but I wouldn't say this is the end of his career at this point. Little Ed,
So you compared you compared Keandre to Hedman, and now Hedel to Crosby.
Well, I compared Hedel to Crosby only with the concussions, not in any other capacity.
Well, you have to. Not taking away from Hedo's work ethic, but even comparing it to Crosby's work ethic and being able to come back and at that level. But either way, I mean, yeah, you got to commend him for the effort that he made. It is kind of shady that we don't know exactly what happened, but either way, I mean, I hope he's able to come back. But I'm in Coach Ed's camp where it's like, if that hit put him out for this long, I can't imagine taking a hit in the playoffs. From, I mean, I don't know. I guess someone like Trouba, or even someone not like Trouba. You saw the hit that he took in the game. I mean, playoffs are a completely different animal, and he's not going to be able to survive. So, like Coach Ed said, unfortunately, it's going to be too late. He's not going to have any value now. So, we have to bank on him coming back or nothing.
When you think about it's something as simple as he fell in a non-contact drill over a stick. To get into a board battle, let's say they play Carolina in round 2, may they get there. That would be great. At least they're in round 2. But he's in a battle with Jordan Martinook. He's going to get hit a lot harder than falling over a loose stick blade. Someone's going to take him into the wall, and he's going to feel it. And I think that was
it's the right call. It's the right call to sit him out for the season. And let's just see. It's just a wait and see thing. I think the Rangers have to proceed as if he's not going to come back. I don't think they need to make any long-term moves at that position right now. I think they need to think playoffs. A lot of people don't want rentals. I think they just, that's fine if they focus on a rental. But in the offseason, I don't think Drury is going to sit there and assume that Philip Hedl is going to be there, opening night. The Rangers are going to take it slow with him, let him, get healthy and hopefully get stronger. I know he's doing like jaw muscle exercises or whatever. We'll see if he can come back. And if not, then good for him that he got his contract before his career ended. So he's, at least worth $16 million. All right. Get well soon, Phil. I love you. I know Coach doesn't, but he doesn't want you to be hurt. And we all want you to come back and contribute to the team.
I don't want his career to end. That's for sure.
Right. Let's move on to Coach's Corner with Coach Ed.
All right, boys, bring it in.
And this segment is sponsored by Old Country Tile and Bella Italia Marble. Coach, what you got?
Well, way back when I was a kid with my brother playing hockey in the street and stuff, when we scored a goal from the goal line or at a bad angle, he would always say, "Score, impossible angle." So that's why I named that segment Impossible Angle. But I saw a nice little
I was wondering why you named it that. Now it makes sense at least.
That was our dreams of playing roller hockey in the street in front of the house. So I was watching the chalkboard session with Rupper and Corey Schneider on NHL Network, and they were pointing out Panarin got a goal like this. I believe it was against the Kings. I could be wrong, or the Sharks. I'm not sure. But they were describing, especially Draisaitl and not even Ovechkin, but Draisaitl especially. They're setting up on the power play, in the umbrella we talk about. Then they have a bumper, and they're setting up on the off wing. Now we talk about a lot with Panarin plays the off wing. Lafreniere now. When you play the off wing as a righty on the left side, your stick faces the net and you could be standing down here, right? So you still have an angle to the net. So what they're doing on the power play, Draisaitl starting here, the puck moves here to the bumper, and then Draisaitl drifts down low. The goalie comes out to challenge that, and he cannot go get this angle quick enough to defend. So when Draisaitl slides down to here, his stick is still in the shooting area, and he's standing down here. So the defense kind of forgets about him, The goalie has to challenge the bumper, and he cannot make this move down low quick enough on the one-timer.
Interesting.
Panarin scored from this side as a righty the other night. The same shot. It looks like it can't be done, but Panarin as a righty is standing here. His stick is here, and they're able to get that one-timer in. Now, I guarantee they're practicing that shot probably 50 to 100 times after practice. But I think it was the other guy that's doing it from that side is McKinnon. They showed him get 3 power play goals like that. Drawing the goalie up high. And I think Schneider, they call it a reverse V when they go post to post to defend a one-timer, like, say, Ovechkin's one-timer, which is traditionally him and Stamkos from up in this area. But now the reverse V can't happen because they're coming up top, and now they have to, like, loop back around. And that split second more it takes for him to get to the post is too late.
You felt like in watching that goal, the Panarin goal that you were referencing, Coach, was a lot of when that Ranger power play is at its best, it's all off the puck movement, right? And everybody's got their feet moving the whole time. And Fox, I believe him and Trocheck kept switching on that one, coming down the wall and then back to the point and changing the side. And the power play has been stagnant of late, and it felt like they finally got back to what's their best part of their game. In that
well, the whole thing, there's 2 things you got to do in the power play, especially, is get in front of the goalie, take his side away for a split second. Again, everything is in a split second because if the goalie can't react to it or set up, that gives you that second to have an open net. So the 2 things you want to do to the goalie is, 1, take his side away from where the puck is, and 2, make a move multiple ways and not get set. So that's what that's doing. You just said it. Fox was playing with Trocheck, and in the meantime, the goalie's like, when is he going to shoot? They're thinking Fox is going to give that little wrist into the net on a redirect, and now Panarin sneaks down low, and they make that quick pass, and it's got to be there. And the goalie can't get there because he's worried about Kreider. He's worried about Trocheck coming down the wall, and he's got to defend that.
Such a difference this year, too, that Zibanejad isn't the only guy shooting.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's because he can't score.
Should be shooting that one too.
Yeah, someone needs to teach him that. But Coach, what's interesting? I'm thinking about this while you're saying it, and maybe I didn't notice this during the games. But do you think that, like, Kreider in front, he's not just screening the goalie from the puck, but also maybe hiding some of these players, like Panarin drifting down low, to the goal line, like. Maybe Kreider being in front, the goalie doesn't see that because Kreider's big body's there. Do you think he's doing that as well? Is that like something you think they do?
100%. That's the distraction. You're trying to make the goalie worry about. Look, they look at film.
Goalie's looking for the puck over his left shoulder, and Kreider's standing here. Now Panarin drifts, and the goalie's not seeing that. That's what I'm thinking.
They study the tendencies all the time. So Kreider may position himself. The key to the play might be when Panarin sees Kreider go higher in the crease, then he knows it's coming to him down low. They know all these little keys, or they'll say it on the bench. These guys have the hockey IQ to figure that stuff out. Kreider will say, when I go up top, sneak down low, Fox will go, that's when I'll give him the pass. They all know that timing. That's what makes them at that level and up near the number 1 power play in the league. McKinnon, all these guys, Draisaitl especially. I mean, how many goals do you see just sneaking on the ice along the post by Draisaitl when you see highlights? You're like, how is that going in?
Yeah, when I watch him play, I just wonder how he's good. Like, he just looks like he. I mean that he's a great player. But I'm just like, he doesn't like. How's that happen? Like, how do you let that?
He's unconventional. He's a little unconventional. He's not flashy.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but
it's all about knowing that angle and that spot. That's what it's about with him for sure. Like, he's not a McDavid dynamic player, but he's up there near McDavid type of points because he's he just knows the soft areas and the sneaky areas and the angles. He puts it in the right spot most of the time,
Yeah, fans listening on audio right now, we apologize. I'm sure that was a little difficult to follow, but head on over to YouTube later on this week for the full Coach's Corner video. But the biggest thing I wanted to touch on that you briefly discussed was the importance of playing or being comfortable on the off wing. I mean, as a defenseman in college, I always like playing the right side, especially on the power play. Because I mean, young players out there, like that split second it takes you for you to turn your body and to shoot on your forehand on like the comfortable wing, we'll call it, is a big difference, especially for a goaltender to get across. Like Coach Ed was just saying, it gives them that split second to get across and get in position to save your shot. So if you're on the off wing or on the off D, you don't have to turn your body to shoot or for a one-timer.
It only gives the goalie a chance. It gives the other penalty killers a chance to get sticks in the passing lane, get their body in front of players and react. So that
it's much easier
as the level goes higher, that reaction time becomes a lot more important. That quickness.
Yeah,
it's much easier to walk the line as a defenseman with your stick facing the middle of the net.
100%.
Because you have a million options. You know, when you're skating the blue line towards the middle and your stick's in the middle of the net, you can pass back, you can shoot, you can dump it in, you can do anything really. If you're toe dragging, you're like, it's like danger territory. You know, that's how I feel at least. You're like, you can only really pass it to the guy you're facing or just whip it towards the net. But like you said, by then they've moved. It's funny you like that side, and I think we talked about this before. You like the right D. I like right D in the offensive zone, but I like left D in the defensive zone. So that's so maybe you just have them switch.
Definitely. Yeah, the defensive zone's difficult for sure because then that makes the outlet pass a little more difficult. You have to turn your body unless I was always comfortable making the pass in my backhand. I thank Coach Ed for that, for drilling the backhand into my mind growing up and always forcing me to practice it in the basement. So I was always comfortable with the high flip out of the zone on my backhand or being able to pass it up the boards on my backhand. But yes, for sure, as a defenseman in the defensive zone, the left side or your strong side is definitely easier.
Yeah, so fans, check this out on YouTube. Definitely go on there. Honestly, check the whole episode out. There's a lot of stuff that happens during the episode that is video oriented. So you might want to check out our episodes on YouTube and make sure you rate us and review us and subscribe. We got some good content and some more to come in the future as well.
And if there's anything you want Coach Ed to go over on the board, send it our way because we'd love to hear your input and any ideas, or if you don't understand something in the game, we'd love to draw it up for you. So,
yeah, if there's little things that happen during the game that you have a question on, shoot it over, and we'll make sure Coach Ed draws it up for you. All right, let's move on to our stars of the week. All right, Nick, welcome to your first star of the week segment here. This is I'm going to add you onto the list here. I don't know if you know this, but I keep a spreadsheet, so I have all our stars of the week picks pretty much dating years back here. No surprise to my family because I used to keep stats during wiffle ball. So
I keep my own record for my season ticket package. It's on the fridge. I write down what I'm at for the year. So I feel you.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a stat nerd guy. All right, so let's start offensive player of the week, and let's start with you, Nick. As a welcoming to the show here, who's your offensive player of the week?
Offensive player of the week, I'm going to give to Will Cooley. He, I thought, had a really nice West Coast road trip. He throws his frame around. The Greg Cronin, Cam Neely comp for the head coach of the Ducks, giving us some love for him, made me think, all right, maybe I've loved this game this year, but I thought there's more than a few people now throwing around those kind of comps for him. And I'm not saying he's going to be Cam Neely. It's a long way to go, but really interesting player to watch this season. I even thought in the Vegas game in particular, he was involved a lot. And I was at the Vegas game Friday. I didn't think they were that bad in that game. They were crying out for a save. They had a lot of quality chances, and he was on the end of a couple of them, and they just didn't go in. So I think he's getting better and better. He's Laviolette's little, pet project, and he's an exciting talent. So I'll throw it to him.
I like that pick. Listen, if he's going to be Cam Neely, he better star in the newest version of Dumb and Dumber and put up his
yes. And he's got to get a better number. No offense to it, like 50. Elias Anderson bad.
No, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I like it actually because you know why? because Elias Anderson wore 50, and we got him for Elias Anderson.
That's
So it
true.
constantly reminds me that we turned that 7th overall pick at least into a quality NHL
My
player.
friends and I joke it like late at night, like whatever we're all doing, it's definitely more productive than Elias Anderson because he's probably still on Call of Duty right now.
No, he's in the AHL and putting up pretty good points, I think.
Is
actually.
he? Good for him.
I think he had like 30 goals last year in the
Every
AHL.
squirrel gets a nut, huh?
Yeah. Well, I went with the bread man. The guy just, I don't know. It's just hard not to pick him. No one really stood out to me as an offensive player of the week. I could have went Laffy, maybe Wheeler. But Panarin, 5 points, 10 shots on goal. It's Panarin again. Little Ed, who you got?
Mikey's showing his board, so let him go next. He's got Panarin also.
Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback off of that. Fully agree with Cuz. Everything he said.
All right, I'll go. Okay, Coach. I'm gonna break the trend. I'm not sure if Nick knew this or not, but you can pick a defenseman for offensive star of the week. So I went with Foxy. I think he's responsible for a lot of the offense, even if he's not scoring or whatever. He's driving a lot of the offense and making things happen.
You're teeing me up very well for the next one.
Oh, there you go. So now you know for the next episode, you're allowed to pick a forward for the defense and whatever. So.
Nice. All right. I love that.
All right. So defensive player of the week. I really struggled with this one. I really didn't think the Rangers played well defensively at all in these games. So this
was hard for me as well.
So I picked Zach Jones. I think he played one game. He was +4. He had 2 points. He stood out to me in that game. Super effective. I just didn't like anyone. That's how bad I thought the team was defensively in these 3 games. That I picked Zach Jones, who only played one game, probably like 13 minutes, as the defensive player of the week. So that's my coach. Who you got?
I'm giving it. It was very difficult also for me, but I'm giving it to my boy Schneids. I'm going to show him a little love this. I'm going to show him a little love this week.
He needs to
Thought
pick
he had
it up.
some bad luck against Vegas on Friday.
Yeah,
Like the goals.
Little Ed.
I'm going with Gus. I feel like he had a strong start to the season, then he kind of fell off a little bit, but I think he's definitely picked his game up recently of this stretch. So I just want to give him a little bit of love. But like you said, it was very difficult to pick. So it was kind of a stretch for me to pick anybody.
Mikey.
I went with a last-minute change. I'm giving it to Mackie.
Who'd you have before that?
Trouba.
He got suspended.
Except
I love it. Nick, who'd you take?
I actually have Fox here. I thought the West Coast trip and Vegas and Ottawa were the most Adam Fox games we've gotten since his injury. He's been very open that it was a little bit difficult for him to get full game speed back and that he felt he had it in moments and then not in others. His breakout passes were back. Little Ed nailed it offensively. He was in the middle of a lot. Power play looked better in some of the games. No coincidence, him being the trigger man. Whether he's shooting or not, him and Mika and Vinny and Temi playing off each other, it looked right. So long may that continue, because that's also a really, we talk a lot about Igor having to be better, but we do need vintage Fox for the second half and the playoff run. So I'm excited to see him at his best.
Yeah, I mean, he's been better. Hopefully he can keep going since the injury. I agree. He's taken a while to get back to norm. All right. Key contributor award. Little Ed, who's your Jesper Foss key contributor award? I think we need to rename that after he concussed Hedel and maybe end his career. I think we need to change the name of that. So it's open for suggestions if you guys want to rename.
I think you've said that before, so we can officially just cross it off the outline if you want.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm going to go with Connor Mackey for the obvious reasons. Coming in, like we said before, playing the night before, barely getting any sleep, and then fighting Brady Tkachuk and turning that game around for the Rangers and for the fans, especially because we desperately needed that win. So yeah,
I can't disagree. I didn't take him, but I can't disagree. Nick, who you got?
I'm going to go with Jonathan Quick. He only played the one game, but the Ottawa win, I think, was a huge mental lift. They had to have it. And while they were down 2-0, I didn't think he was at fault for the goals that they gave up. And he's been his usual steady self all season long. He has, hey, there we go. He's been, Mr. Consistency in the net, even when they haven't defended well. So, he's a little bit of a good veteran to have in this room. I do think, if we see them come out of this, you can even thank, some of it to him and even guys like Wheeler and them for being good voices in the room. I know they haven't been great on the ice all the time, but they've got some good vets in the building and they're saying all the right things. I think it's a matter of time to come out of it. The team needs to have someone confident behind them, backstopping them, and he looks more confident right now than Igor. I think that's a contagious thing. The group feels better when they can feel better about who's in net. And that's not to kill Igor. It's just the facts of the moment.
Oh, it's true. I mean, Igor sucks right now. The team looks desperate and frustrated when he's in net. Quick made some big saves in that game, and they won. And it's the only game they won in this stretch. So to me, he's the key contributor. Mikey.
I gave it to K-Man Squared, Capo Caco. 2 goals this stretch of games. I wanted to show my man some love.
Those are the A-Rod goals. That's what I'm dubbing them. Down by 9. That's that solo home run in the 9th and down by 9.
A-Rod grand slam in the 9th.
5-1 Vegas. It's a good time for that goal, Cocker.
I like that one. Funny. I like that one, Nick. I like that one.
That was funny.
I'm a Jeter fanboy. I'll never give A-Rod a compliment.
A-Rod was totally like that. That's funny. All right. Yeah. Highlight play of the week.
What about Mike? What about my say on the key contributor?
Oh, I saw you put Quickie. You held it up. Sorry, you wanted to say something? Go ahead.
You're still not going to say that I said he should be the starter like a month ago, but that's all right.
I say it every episode.
But you didn't say it then.
I disagreed with you then. I still think that what I said was I'm fine with giving him some starts, but he's not the number one goalie. He can, Igor needs to take a break, fine, but Quick's not the number one goalie. I still don't think the Rangers are going to win a Stanley Cup unless Igor finds his game. I don't think Jonathan Quick is going to be the goalie that leads them to a Stanley Cup. Does that mean that I wouldn't give Quick some run here until he finds his game? Yeah, I agree with that. So there's a difference, Coach. You're saying give Quick the reins and let him go. And I'm saying, no. That's it. Is that clear?
If he gets the reins and shuts down Colorado, what do you do?
Start him again.
Play him against Tampa the next game.
That's that. To me, that's giving him then he's the number one getting the reins until he drops the ball.
Hot hand thing. That's all.
Yeah. No, I think Nick understands what I'm saying. Nick's with me.
If Igor going to the All-Star game is bad for him, I think a mental breather isn't a bad thing at all for him when he gets back here. That's all.
Yeah, it's a mental breather. I'm in the lab Igor's still got to be the guy. Game 1 in the playoffs. It's got to be Igor. You're riding Igor. If not, you're not going to win the cup. I don't think Quick's going to do it. I'm sorry. I hope I'm wrong. If whatever, I'd rather the Rangers win the cup than Igor be the one to do it. I don't care who's the goalie, but I just don't see it. All right, highlight play of the week, Mikey. What you got? There's not a lot to pick here. Well, I guess you got 7 goals to choose. Empty.
Mikey, you're gonna pass with an easy one. The Mackey fight.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Come on.
That's what I got.
Yeah, the Mackey fight right there.
Mackey fight for Coach Littlehead and Mike?
Yeah.
You got that too, Coach?
Yes, I do. Mackey versus Chuck.
And Nick, I know you said that he held his own in that one. I don't know. I think he might have won.
Yeah, he did pretty good.
At the end, he might have won, I thought, too.
Yeah, at the end, he took
a big one at the end.
He took him down.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say because I can't imagine having to keep your balance during one of those fights. But if the player goes down and the other guy's on top of him, I think you got to,
I think he caught him off balance with a little shot.
Right,
nothing nasty, nothing major, but.
Anyway. My highlight play of the week is actually Kreider's goal from the Ottawa game. I'm a sucker for an awesome Kreider moment. I know he's been a little cold of late, but it's always in there, especially when he lets out a primal scream. It's like one of the funniest things that happen in a game. And
No, that
His
was a good
vintage
pick.
goals are
'Cause
on
that
the
was a
doorstep.
great play by Zibanejad too. That
It
a really
was.
good play.
It was.
Off the
Mika's been a
face-off.
little up and down at times, but it's great when they team up. And as much as I love a Kreider like doorstep goal where he just bangs in a rebound and freaks out, I love like he turns on the jets and he pulls up and he lets one fly, and that was kind of vintage him. So that was a good one.
Yeah, I like that. That's
Now
a
you-
good pick. Much better than mine. I went with the Laffy backhander off the goalie. I thought that was a nice little smart play by him.
Good hustle play.
Yeah, down 2-0. We needed a goal. They couldn't find it for some reason, and he was alert. He saw the goalie outside off the post, and he just kind of banked it off his body. I thought that was a really smart play by him. But that's just me, and it was an important goal.
Which
goal.
game? You guys have to remember this goal where Kreider made the deflection as a pass. Was it these three games?
What are you talking about? I don't know.
They had a power. It happened in the last one. It happened where he made recently, where they made a shot. He deflected it across the crease instead of on goal.
That's like saying, who was that blonde? Who was that blonde woman in the Bond movie? Like, I don't know.
I forget it. It happened in the last couple of games. It doesn't happen that often.
He did score against LA too, right?
No, he didn't score. He didn't
score.
score.
Okay. Yeah,
He deflected
you don't have to yell at our guest, all right? It's okay.
He's fine. He's coaching.
He's trying to help. He's trying to help.
Deflected it across the crease, the open face deflection. It might have been to Wheeler. I don't know. It was somebody who they just tapped it in. That was a nice play too, but whatever. I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
He doesn't have any. Oh wait, he has a secondary assist against Ottawa, but I don't think that's the one you're talking about.
No, that wasn't it then.
If
It
not,
must have been
it
last
wasn't in this
episode.
stretch. Yeah.
All right.
Move on.
Move on to the Coach Ed's Copyright Doghouse Award, sponsored by Suter's Sweet Treats. And check them out at suitersweettreats.net. Use the code EDPOD23, get 10% off your order and a free doghouse cookie. They are delicious. You got it right there.
Well, no, I don't have the doghouse, but I have their new bite-sized cookies.
Ooh,
So you can see how
those
small
good.
it is.
That's the
and
third
the
jersey.
detail-
I like.
The
All right.
detail is not being sacrificed, as you could see. Head on over to YouTube. And yeah,
Love
Meg's artistic ability, unless you're Coach Ed and you're able to hold yourself a little bit or have some willpower, you can just pop one or two of these and be good. But if you're looking for the real thing, they also have full-size cookies as well.
Yeah, she sent me some sugar-free ones too, which were really good.
They are really good, right? The sugar-free
Yeah,
ones are good.
I was happy. She's like, "Oh, I know you're doing keto. I heard you're on the podcast. You were doing keto, so she sent me that. It was really good."
Yeah, and she
so
makes
you're-
good protein cookies as well.
Oh, jeez. Mike, can I ask you a question? When you do these segments and you make everyone big, why do you always make me big first? And my head's like this.
It's because you're the first camera.
Oh, all right.
It automatically goes to you, and then he's got to switch it.
Sorry, that's bad podcasting. I'm just bantering with my producer. So I don't know. Last week, nobody noted who took who. So I don't know if you guys did Stars of the Week and had anyone in the doghouse.
We did not.
We
Did
did
not.
So the last few weeks, it's been everyone had Shesterkin and Miller. Then it was Miller out, Shesterkin stays in. Then it was Shesterkin out, Miller in. So Miller's in the doghouse, coach. Is he still in the doghouse?
There's the doghouse.
It's still Miller in the doghouse. And there's me on big screen again. There
And
he
I will
is.
add that Igor is right behind him.
He's not in, or he is?
Igor is in there he's behind him.
All right.
I believe back in the Tortorella days, Rick Carpinello, who worked the Ranger beat, said that whoever was in trouble with torts was in the Chateau Bow Wow. So
Yeah, that's
alternate name for it.
the old school way of saying it.
Yeah, that's pretty
that's
much
funny.
that is a Chateau Bow Wow. So
Yeah.
I agree. I got Miller and Shesterkin in. I'm putting him Igor back in and leaving Keandre in. Little Ed.
I'm going with Miller, Igor, And now my newest addition is Mika. I just got to see more out of that guy. We touched on it earlier about his lack of energy and grit and getting into the danger areas. I mean, I heard it last night or the Ottawa game broadcast. What does he have? 1 goal in the last 15 games.
Yeah, 1 goal. That was in the Vegas game, so it's probably 16 or 17 games now.
The New York Rangers #1 center has 1 goal in the last 17 games.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's not even just that. He doesn't drive to the net. He's soft. He doesn't forecheck.
Yeah. And they said
his
that
two-way game is failing. So I don't know what he's doing. He
scores
off the rush, and that's it. Off the rush or nothing.
I think it was Valley, or maybe it was. I'm not sure. Somebody said it. He's got to find a way to get into the dirty areas, otherwise he's not going to succeed.
I told you. So. I gave him a C. And there's a reason.
Yeah, no, I was definitely I was easy on him, but now it's getting frustrating.
Mikey, who's in your doghouse? Save the best for last with Nikki. Who you got, Mike?
I have all 4 of those players in the doghouse.
That's 3. So who's the 4th?
3 plus Kreider, excuse me. I'm putting Kreider in too.
Kreider.
Yeah. I
got a packed doghouse this episode, boys.
Jeez. All right, Nick, who you got?
Really, I mean, it's fair. All the choices so far have been pretty fair. I don't mean this to make it like I'm trying to hate on him, but I'm not a Kakko guy kind of as is. And I know he's got 2 goals last few games, but they're kind of empty calorie goals, end of game. He's come back, and I personally didn't buy the whole they're 12, they're 12-2 and whatever without him. And that it was because of him. He can defend well in his own zone. He's got a good body frame on the puck in the O zone, but he's really just a brutal finisher. There's no way around it. And if he was drafted 20th overall and scored 12 goals a year and checked, you could live with it. But at 2nd overall, his draft position is just a killer. And I think you're starting to see Laviolette run low on confidence in him. He kind of lost him in the shuffle of the lines on the road trip, and he's not getting him out there in certain situations and trying to get himself out of a slump here. And while I agree Mika could play better or at least play more consistently, and Kreider could too, I think both of them still have really good numbers, and it's a testament to the 2 of them because they don't have a line mate that's worth much in any situation most nights. And that includes
let's pump the brakes a little bit. Mika and Kreider's numbers are very power play centric. They're on the power play 1. Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, if you put Kakko in front of the net, he'd probably have 10 or 15 more points, right? I mean, that's just the way it is if you're on the power play. I'm not going to argue with you. I get the Kakko. I want more out of Kakko. But last year, Nick, Kakko had 18 goals, 22 assists, 40 points, all at even strength. This year, he's struggling. You writing him off, or you don't? Not impressed by last year?
I've just never been a huge fan of his. It hasn't been a recent development for me. It's more we're on coach number 3 for him. It's 5-6 years, and he's just not a consistent finisher. I don't want to get on any of the guys. I'm not. Everyone that knows me will tell you I pick on way more Yankee players than I do Ranger players. I don't like to get on the Rangers, and I want this to work for him. I thought preseason he was the one that looked set up for a big year.
Yeah, me too.
And not laugh. And it's gone the other way. And I know the injury plays a part, but like even in the first, I don't know, what was it, 20 some odd games before he got hurt, it's just that it's that final third. He gets down to the offensive end of the ice and he's just not a great finisher.
Can't disagree with you, but I'm not writing him off yet.
Gotta love that Nicky, huh?
I try.
You're a Coach Ed favorite already.
I try.
Just hate on. Make sure you keep hating on the young guys and giving all the veterans accolades.
Believe me,
the veterans weren't young guys at any point in their career. They were never young guys. So.
I didn't even know they made these. My father got me a Will Cooley shirt for Christmas. I'm all in on Will Cooley. It's not a youth movement thing, and I think Laffy's been awesome this year. He plays so hard, and but he's also. I mean, it's ironic. He's also not a great finisher. It's hard to believe he's on pace for 48 points. For all the good things he's doing, he's not scoring.
That's actually really impressive when you consider he's not on the power play. 48 points would be a hell of a season, a comparable 5-on-5 with a lot of really good players.
I feel like in the last week I've seen him miss about 4 slam dunks that Panarin set him up for, but it happens. It's slumps happen. I mean, I think right now, like they're the 3-6-1, whatever they are, the last 10 games. Like they're shooting an unbelievably low percentage for a team that's getting 45, 50 shots a game, and that goes for everybody. That's going to turn.
The real question is, what would Coach Ed think of a 23-year-old Barclay Goodrow if he were coming up on the Rangers at 23? Would he be riding the pine, or would he be a staple in the lineup?
That's not a player that you're expecting 20 goals at him.
I think at that age, he scored that overtime goal for the Sharks too in Game 7. To be fair to him,
I was about to say he scored some big goals for the Sharks.
Yeah, you're not expecting Barclay Goodrow at 23 years old. What round was he picked in? Was he even drafted?
I don't know if he was drafted. Actually, I don't know the answer to that.
You know, you're talking. You got to compare apples to apples.
Coach, I'm just rubbing. You know,
I know, and I'm giving you an answer.
Well, Kako's been in our doghouse too, and you know I get it. He's had a tough season, so I can't really. I'm just messing with you a little bit.
It's constructive criticism, right? It's all love.
It's not always all love, especially with Coach Ed. Pavel Buchnevich was not all love.
What Coach is really gonna like me then? I won't even open my mouth.
Coach hated Buchnevich.
Come on, give it to me, Nick.
Well, I wasn't broken up when they moved on from Buchnevich, to be frank.
Yeah.
That was just me. Personally, I liked him, but I thought they could have a different mix. And you know,
listen, when I see you at the winter at the stadium game, I'm giving you a big hug.
I'm wearing my Buchnevich jersey in that game now.
That's fine. Go for it. One of my best friends is going. He loves Buch. I'm not a Buch hater. I was just like, like in the context of that offseason, when they made that trade, it was supposed to be Drury was being very adamant. I remember that summer he talked about they wanted to give top 6 minutes to Kakko and Lafreniere.
Nick, it was a terrible trade. I don't want to hear you.
No, I'm not saying Sammy Blais was worth anything. He wasn't. I mean, I just, they were trying to give a vote of confidence to the young players, and they're the Rangers. Sure. They go into win now mode after that. You know them.
Well, that's okay. You trade Buchnevich, but you don't trade him for Sammy Blais, a second-round pick. That's the problem.
Trying to get a better grinder too, right? But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't work.
Yeah, well, probably one of the worst trades they've ever made. Anyway, let's move on to the trivia.
The trivia, it's time to throw it over to Mikey P with your Rangers Ed 150, the fastest 150 seconds in the National Hockey Podcast.
Welcome back to the Rangers Ed 150. We got 6 more games to go before the All-Star break, and knock on wood, but all the teams finally seem to be exactly where we thought they'd be by this point. Out west in the Pacific Division, no change in the standings since last week, with Vancouver holding on to that number 1 spot, followed by Vegas, Edmonton, and LA. Edmonton is currently riding a 16-game win streak, but keep in mind that all but 4 of those games were against some of the worst teams in the league, so take this win streak with a grain of salt. LA, on the other hand, is 2-14 through their last 16, with a whole bunch of losses to some of the league's best teams. Further east in the Central Division, Winnipeg has dropped down to 3rd place, with Mark Scheifele missing the last 6 with a lower body injury, and Colorado and Dallas have finally regained the 1 and 2 spots, respectively. St. Louis has put together a solid run of play through their last 10, putting up a 6-3-1 record and pushing Nashville out of that number 4 spot in the division, while the rest continue to wallow at the bottom of the standings. Officially back east in the Atlantic Division, the Bruins, Panthers, Lightning, and Leafs occupy the 1 through 4 spots, followed by Detroit and Buffalo. The Lightning, Bruins, and Panthers have all been playing lights-out hockey through the last couple weeks, and it's very clear why these teams have dominated this division over the last few years. The Lightning have also taken over the title for the most prolific offense in the Atlantic Division from the Wings, having scored 1 more goal than Detroit through 50 games. Finally, in the Metro Division, the Rangers are still clinging on to that number 1 spot, but they have been a model of inconsistency of late, posting a 4-5-1 record through their last 10. On the other side of the coin, the Hurricanes have finally found their stride. They're riding a 3-game win streak with a 7-3-1 record through their last 10. Keep in mind, the Canes have made it this far without a true number 1 goaltender. So with Anderson skating once again, they're only going to get better with him back between the pipes. Also worth noting here, the Pittsburgh Penguins have finally clawed their way up into 5th place after sitting in 7th for the vast majority of this season. We got no games for the Rangers this week with that 7-2 win over the Senators, leaving them on a nice high note before the All-Star break. Be sure to tune into the All-Star game this coming weekend in Toronto for the skills competition and the All-Star game, and let the boys know just how much we all love the All-Star game. Until next week, this has been your 150.
Mikey with the 150.
Mikey P
That was
finding
awesome.
his stride. Got my
Filipinos
camera
on
there.
notice.
Yeah, for real. That was nice.
That was good. That was a real 150. Usually it's a Mikey 500.
Yeah, I had to turn my camera off to use the bathroom, and I almost didn't make it back. That was nuts. So before
you got
we
time to
move
make
on,
an egg sandwich.
I know, right? Let's we're gonna get a fantasy update from Mrs. 150 real quick before we move on.
Welcome to the Rangers Ed Fantasy League update. Let's see how things are shaken out at the end of Week 16 as we head into the All-Star break. Not much has changed in the top three. A 13-0-2 win against Lucarelli Law in Week 15 helped to cement True Troubatrain in first place with 306 points.
He's killing
However,
it.
losing 4-7-4 to Oscar's Pro Stitch this week reminds us that even Trouba is human. Rise of Gautier holds steady in second place with 296 points, thanks to wins over both Mikey's Sit-on-Downers, 7-6-2, and Lucarelli Law, 10-2-3. This makes the sixth
Lucarelli
Gautier, who is now 1 win away from tying the longest win streak of the season. That goes, of course, to Troubatrain. Coach Ed's Potato Knishes and Mikey's Sit-on-Downers both lost to a girl, who sits in third place with 288 points after winning 12-1-2 and 11-3-1 respectively.
Jeez Louise.
Shout out to Mikey Produces, who tried his hardest, making 44% of his total season roster moves last week alone.
Shots
Cousin Ed's
fired.
Floppers are in fourth place with 271 points, winning 8-4-3 over Devil's State of Mind and 10-3-2 against Little Ed's Workshoppers. Good work, Cousin Ed. Although it's not hard to win against a team that strategically benches Connor McDavid when the Oilers are on a 16-game heater. Well played, Little Ed.
Didn't think he was going to have it that
also
game.
Extended their winning streak to 6 weeks, beating both Coach Ed's Doghouse, 10-3-2, and his Potato Knishes, 11-2-2. This brings Mikey 150 into the top 5 with 270 points. 61 roster moves later, being a top contender for the Try Hard Award is finally paying off. Devil's State of Mind barely held on to 6th place and has 250 points after tying Coach Ed's Doghouse 7-1-1 this week. Meanwhile, Coach Ed has fallen to 7th place with 249 points. Sorry, Coach. Oscar's Pro Stitch moved up to 8th place with 234 points, partially thanks to a 7-7-1 tie against Little Ed's Workshoppers in Week 15. Little Ed now sits in 9th place with 232 points. But are we really surprised?
Ooh.
Mikey's Sit-on-Downers fell on down to 10th place with 224 points. And finally, rounding out the bottom two are Lucarelli Law in 11th with 137 points and Coach Ed's Potato Knishes in 12th with 123. Because of the All-Star break, Week 17 runs until February 11th. Will Mikey Produces use these 2 weeks and all 5 of his roster moves to beat the Massholes? Will Little Ed remember to start McDavid and hand Troubatrain only his 4th loss of the season? And will he win the Ed showdown between Coach and Cousin Ed? Tune in next time to find out.
Oh, that's why Coach Ed's asking me how to make moves, because he's playing me. Now it makes sense. He's like, how do I make ads? How do I put guys on IR? I didn't even know you were playing me this week. Now it makes sense.
Neither did I.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram or something, and I see McDavid lighting it up. I was like, oh, nice. Okay. I go to my fantasy league on the bench.
Hilarious. Classic.
I didn't know he had an afternoon game, man. It's just tough.
Just got to check your lineups. Check your lineups.
Rough couple weeks for Little Ed, but I'll try to pick it up just so Mrs. 150 doesn't come at me again. Jesus.
Unreal. Yeah, it's all about just making the playoffs.
Let her come at you. She's only
getting
coming
the top
at me.
6. Get in the top 6 and then focus on the playoffs. It's all luck after that.
Yeah. Nick, now that you're part of the family, you'll have to join our fantasy league next season.
I'd be honored. I haven't played hockey fantasy in a long time.
It's not that hard to win. As long as you set your lineup, you'll get easy wins here and there. When you play Little Ed, you play Coach Ed, you play Mikey, you'll beat them because they don't set their lineup. So
I set my lineup every day. What are you talking about?
Yeah, your team is doing pretty good. I'm impressed. You're in 7th. That's not bad. I thought you'd be in 12th.
I was in 3rd. I was knocking on the door.
Freaking Corso, man. Killing me.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do the trivia, Mikey. What do you got?
Do it.
We got a 2-point question.
Come on, I gotta go to bed.
Our 9-point question last week.
I'm looking for a name and a number, right? What New York Ranger has recorded the most shorthanded goals, and how many? In Rangers
ever? Or okay.
I don't know this one, so I took a guess.
Yeah,
put them up. What do we got, guys? Messier.
I guess the exact same as Cuz.
Wow.
I can't read yours, Nick. What
Dominic Moore.
I went Dom Moore on the shot in the dark.
All right,
remember him getting a lot.
All the Eds get a point. And I'm going to give little Ed 2 points because he was closest to without going over.
Woo! What is it?
Wait, you didn't say that before the question?
23?
Damn, no,
I was gonna guess. I was actually gonna guess like 25.
No way! He had 23 shorthanded goals.
That's wild.
As a Ranger?
As a Ranger.
In 10 seasons. That's wild, dude.
I remember Kreider. I remember they talking about it. Someone recently with when Kreider got one or something. So I was about to guess Kreider because I wasn't sure if he broke the record, but yeah, I remember them talking about that Messier has it currently.
Mika actually has more shorthanded goals than Kreider does.
Really? Yeah.
One, but yeah.
Look at Cuz looking it up. He does this every time. Every time you get it. Every time you get it wrong and Mike says this is it, you're on the computer looking it up.
I just don't believe he had 23 shorthanded goals as a Ranger. That's
not
wild.
even he doesn't even wait till we go off the air.
Yeah. Can we end the episode first, Cuts?
Yeah,
that's
8 was way too low.
No, that's a lot, dude. He had 63 shorthanded goals in his career. That's a lot of shorties.
That's so many, dude. That's so
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it.
That's more goals than Kakko's going to have in his career.
Oh man! All right. On that note, Rangers are on a bye this week. When they come back, they play the Avalanche. I think that game at the Garden. Yeah, it's at the Garden, and they play Tampa. Then on the road to Chicago. I'll be there. My first time at the United Center, so I'll update you guys on that when I get back. Then they're home against Calgary, home against Montreal, and then the much anticipated Stadium Series on February 18th. So we got 6 games in the next 20-something days. So a little bit of a rest period for the Rangers. Hopefully they can right the ship, focus on video and practice, get back on track. It's been a rough go. We'll see if they make any trades or if anything happens. We'll make sure to update you guys and give you our reactions. Thank you to Nick for joining us. Really appreciate you giving us your time. I know it's hard to do, but it was a lot of fun and really liked your insight, and your blog is great. You get fans, check out his blog for sure. What's the website again?
BroadwayBreakdown.com.
BroadwayBreakdown.com.
Can you type in .com also? Because I typed in .blog and it comes up.
I believe .com works for it.
Okay.
But I should check that. That sounds like I should know that myself. No, thank you guys for having me, and I'll be sure to share the link when the episode comes around as well, and I'll be including the episode in my post when I talk Rangers this week. We should have something out by Friday about trade deadline, Hedl, a lot of the stuff we talked about tonight. So it was a great time. Glad to join you, and look forward to further collaborations, guys.
For sure.
Great job, Nick.
Yeah, for sure. It's BroadwayBreakdown.blog. By the way,
there you go. You tell me my own business. That's a good thing. Someone has to.
It's getting late. It's getting late, Nick.
We do that all the time.
It's getting late.
Hopefully, Kakko can rack up some more A-Rod home runs and pad stats.
I feel bad even calling him that. That's how much I hate A-Rod.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's geez Louise. All right, well, on that note, thank you to the sponsors as well, for helping run this podcast. We appreciate that, and make sure you give them the due they deserve, and the fans for listening. Really appreciate it. Check out our YouTube for sure. Check it out, rate, review, subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. We're working on getting video on there to see if that's possible for you guys if you're a Spotify listener. And also we're on Apple Podcasts and Google as well. I think we're on there too.
Apple,
so check
Google,
us out.
Spotify, and also Amazon Prime Music too. So
yeah, check us out. Share us with your friends. We're happy to continue doing it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Get some rest.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Good night.
Let's
Love
go
you guys.
Rangers.
Enjoy
Thanks,
the
guys.
All-Star game.
Love you guys.